Let's understand few more basics. Let's start with PMIism. First and foremost, PMBOK is the project management body of knowledge that describes the framework for managing projects. And this PMBOK is the reference book for the PMP examination. I know I have used the word book in a more loosely way just for easy understanding. So, in the exam, all your answers should be based on what is in the PMBOK. What you do practically in your organization may not be the same what is explained in the PMBOK guide. So make sure your answer matches with the PMBOK, not with what you do in the organization. Now, you need to remember one more important thing. While answering the questions, you should think that you are working on a large project, a really large multi-million dollar project. But why? The PMBOK guide covers wide variety of process, knowledge area, tools and techniques. In a smaller project, one may not be able to apply everything. By thinking that you are working on a large project, you will be able to relate things better. If you are from IT background, then you can think that you deploy a software for your client across the organization or developing a highly sophisticated software. If you are from civil background, then you can think that you are constructing a very large big shopping complex. If you are from automotive background, then you can think that you are developing a high-end car. Or if you are from any other background, then imagine something really big in your own field. For our discussion, to make it common for all, I often refer a construction project. Why construction project? Because most of us would have seen a house construction done by our parents or by our friends, or you might have done it by yourself. So it becomes a lot easier to relate. In case if you don't have any experience in construction, don't worry, we will walk you through with a lot of examples. So, in this entire course of discussion, you may want to think that you are working as a project manager in a large construction company. All right, let me ask you a fundamental but a shocking question. Get ready to answer it. Do you really need a project manager? Pause the video and write down your answer in your note sheet. Then continue. Are you ready with your answer? Good. Let's continue. Movies are the best example to answer to this question. By the way, do you watch movies? If not many, at least few you would have watched, I guess. How do they make movie? What are the ingredients, so called, need to make a movie? Let's start with few simple and fundamental ones. You need story and character. Once the story is ready, you need actor and actress to portray those character. That's on the front end. How about at the back end? I'm talking about the technicians. You need a cameraman to shoot the movie, also called a cinematographer. You need a film editor to remove the incorrect parts and stitch the right ones. It'd be nice to have music, so you need a music composer. Very importantly, you need someone who can spend money for all this, right? Also called as producer. Are we done with the list or are we still missing something? Something still missing, right? What do you think? Whom or what is that we are missing? We have story, we have actor and actress to play the role, cinematographer to capture the moments, film editor to stitch the good ones, a music director to add music. Very importantly, we have the producer to spend the money. What is still missing? Hmm, where is the director? But why you need a director? You have all the ingredients to make a good movie. Why you need a director? You may have individually talented people like the actor, actress, cinematographer, editor, music director, etc., etc. But you need someone who can coordinate with all these individual talent for the common output. The movie in our case. The one who does it is the director. It's not necessary that the director should be an expert in writing story or in cinematography or in music, but he should know everything at least at a surface level to become a successful director. Project managers are like movie directors. You may have individually talented people in their own field, such as engine, transmission, electrical, electronics, computer, programming, testing, etc., etc. But you need a project manager to make them work as a team for a meaningful common output, also called as deliverables or project. Let's take an example in your own organization. You may produce car as a product, or you may do financial consultancy as a service to your customers. You have someone to lead the organization, don't you? He or she may be called as managing director or CEO, or even in simple terms, manager. Imagine a situation. You have a great workforce, but there is no one to manage. What will happen? Imagine a big army with millions and zillions of soldiers, but there is no one to lead. What will happen? Projects need project manager to lead the individual subject matter experts, also called as SMEs. The project manager's job is not to perform the individual's task, but to get the things done. By the way, what is a project? Think of any project that you recently completed and try to explain what is a project. Pause the session, write your answer. Once you are ready with your answer, continue. Ready with your answer? Why do you want to call that as a project? Let me give some example and tell me whether they are called as project or not. How about constructing a big residential apartment, building a new car, deploying a new software across the organization? Are these projects? Why you want to call them as projects? Do you find anything common among these? That's the definition of a project. Let's look at the PMBOK definition. A project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. It's such a simple definition, but a very meaningful one. Let's break it down. Temporary. Temporary does not necessarily mean that a project has a shorter duration. It only indicates that a project has a definite beginning and end. Temporary can be 2 months or 2 years or even 10, 20, even 30 years, but it should have a definite start and a definite end. Project should deliver unique product, service, or result, or they could be the combination of all these three. Let's look at what is a product. I don't think products needs any introduction, right? For the simplicity reason, let's take car as a product. A product is something one can physically touch and feel. It could be car, it could be coffee mug, it could be computer or the tablet or phone that you are currently using. A project might deliver unique service. Example of service could be a market survey before launching a new product. It's typical that nowadays, before releasing any product into the market, the manufacturer used to do a market survey to understand how well it will be received by the consumers. A project might deliver this market survey service. Let's talk about result. Did you hear about finite element analysis? Okay, in simple terms, you build a mathematical model in the computer using software and test the model by simulating a real physical condition and see whether the product will work as designed in the real world. So, the project could be of doing a finite element analysis for a military application and validate the design. Or the project could be of combination of product, service and or results. An example could be a software company develops a software for a specific application, do the documentation for that software, and also run a help desk service for the software application. Let's recall the definition. A project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Most often, a confusion arises when there is a repetitive element present in a project because the project definition talks about uniqueness. Let's take an example to understand it. House building. I hope you remember that you are a project manager working in a construction company. I mean, for this course. In every project, there will be repetitive elements, such as in construction project, there will be groundbreaking, building the wall, building the ceiling, doing the landscaping, doing the electrical and plumbing work, painting, etc. etc. You see that these steps are repetitive in every construction project. So what do you think now? Can this be still called as project? Because you have repetitive elements, right? Of course, yes, these are projects. But how? As an outcome, each building remains as unique in its own sense. You might have even used the same design, but due to the unique characteristics, such as the first and foremost, the new building constructed will be in a new location, not at the very old same location. The environment for the first project and this project can be completely different. Resources involved are unique, and so on and so forth. These elements bring the uniqueness in the overall delivery. So, to summarize, repetitive elements may present in the project, but the unique elements make them as projects. Okay, when a project can end, I hope you agree with me that not all the projects have happy ending, meaning upon achieving its intended end objective, the project gets closed. Let's look at some of the scenarios when a project can end. Of course, project ends when the intended objective is achieved. That's obvious. For example, the project goal is to construct 100 houses. Once all the 100 houses are built, then the project ends. That's obvious. Let's talk about other scenario when the project can end. There could be one scenario where the project need no longer exists. Let's say a company started a project to design 3G mobile, but most part of the world already moved to 4G technology. Naturally, there will be less or almost no customer for this product. So it's better to stop the project. Another example. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of pager. This was introduced prior to mobile technology as a betterment to landline phone. I'm talking about the old fashioned button mobile days. Just imagine a company is doing a research in developing a new type of pager when already the mobile technology got introduced and penetrated into the market. It's just a waste of time if the company proceed to develop a new type of pager, right? On similar line, the examples are plenty. But I guess you get the point. The other scenario could be when there is no resource available. It could happen to any project in any organization. Let's say project A is initiated. Shortly after that, a strategically highly important project called project B is initiated. Naturally, the focus will be shifted to the strategic important project. Most of the key resources will be diverted to the new project. So, project A do not have enough resource to work on. In this condition, the project A should be terminated. I often tell the students in the classroom session that never get emotionally attached to a project. This happens especially in year long projects. The project manager gets so much attached to the project. Never ever do that. Okay, let's go back. We are discussing about non availability of resource and the project termination due to that. Here, the resource includes fund availability as well. If the project does not have enough fund available to work, then the project should be terminated. Of course, all the money so far spent on the project would be a waste. And this is called as what? We already discussed it. Yes, you are right, sunk cost. There's no point in crying over the spill milk, just move on. The other scenario when the project can be terminated is when the end goal cannot be achieved. This happens in research type of projects. A project is initiated having an intention to invent something new. Over a period, it's understood that with available technology, it's not possible to achieve the end goal. Then it's better to stop the project. Let's take an example. I hope most of you are aware of the movie Avatar. Steven Spielberg, the director of the movie, jotted the movie outline in late 90s. But he understood that there is no way he could bring in the visual effects as he imagined due to the technology limitation during the 90s. So he stopped the project at that point in time and started again in 2000s. The other scenario could be at times project could be terminated due to local government's legal cause or law. For example, in pharma projects, certain components of certain drug may be banned in certain countries. They may be allowed in other countries, but in the host country, they are banned, and using those will trigger legal issues. In this case, project should be terminated. Another example could be constructing building in the land that is not approved by the local authorities. I hope you're getting the idea. Now, let's discuss about what is not a project. That's also important to understand, right? Let's go by an example. Car assembly in the manufacturing line. Is it a project? Let's go back to the definition. A project delivers unique product, service, or result. Is anything unique in car assembly? It's the same car assembled over and again by the operator, nothing unique. So it's not a project. Then how should we call it as? It's called as operation. The same car, when it was built for the first time by the research team, it was a project, of course. Because there is no such car exist in the past, it was created as unique, new. But when it's assembled over and again using the same stuff, it should be called as operation. Do remember, once the project is successfully completed, then it's handed over to the operation team for regular operation. This is to make sure that the organization generate profit from those. Otherwise, what is the fun in running a project? For example, in a software development project, once the software is developed, it gets distributed to the users, its operations. Keep in mind that the project can be initiated within operations as well. Let's say a car manufacturer launches a new project. The objective is to design and build a new type of car which is not there in the market. Once the car is built, it should be moved to operations for mass production. We already discussed that manufacturing or assembling or producing the same type of car is not a project, it's operation. Within this operation, a new project may be launched. Let's say in manufacturing, one of the assembly line is not as efficient as the management expected. So it's decided to improve the throughput. A new project is initiated. This project may run, let's say, for 3 to 6 months. Once the objective is met, that is, the expected throughput is achieved, it's again handed over to the same assembly line with improved efficiency for day to day operations. By the way, why organizations initiate new projects when there are so many reasons to terminate them? New projects may be initiated for many reasons. Let's look at some of them. New technology. Example, due to the technological advancement in electronics field, a laptop manufacturer could initiate a new project to develop a faster, cheaper, and thinner laptop. Market demand. Example, an electric car manufacturer authorizes a new project to develop electric cars due to shortage of gasoline fuel and emission norms. Customer request. Example, another car manufacturer initiates a new project to develop more spacious family car due to more requests from the customer. Legal requirements. Example, yet another car manufacturer initiates a new project to develop a new type of engine that meets the new emission standards imposed by the government. Social need. Example, a non-governmental organization initiates a new project to provide portable water system where there is a high rate of diseases. So, projects can be initiated for any reason. Don't forget the fact that it's not necessary that one initiative should solve only one problem. What do I mean by that? One initiative could solve one or more needs, such as a new car project initiative may fulfill designing a new car which is spacious and also more fuel efficient and also meets the emission norms. Let's quickly summarize what we discussed so far. We discussed about projects, operations, and the need for initiating projects. Now, let's talk about project management. Project management is the application of knowledge, skill, tools, and techniques that are related to project. While managing projects as a project manager, you apply your knowledge, skills, and various tools and techniques to deliver the project. All right, now let's talk about project phases. Do you remember our construction project? And you are the project manager? Can you list down the steps involved? Roughly at the high level, land acquisition, land preparation for construction, groundbreaking, laying the foundation, building the villa, building semi-independent villa, building apartment, plumbing, electrical work, painting, handing over to the customer. Here, when the steps to be carried out are scattered, it becomes tough to handle, right? So, I want to group them to handle it efficiently and easily. Let's do it together. Phase 1 involves land acquisition. Phase 2 is all about constructing the villa from A to Z including handing over to the customer. In phase 3, the focus is on semi independent villa, focusing A to Z, and so on and so forth. Let's take another example. You build a modern, highly sophisticated car. What are the steps? Concept preparation, design and development, build prototype, move the project to operations. So, the project phase is a collection of logically related project activities to complete one or more deliverables. Project phase can be described using variety of attributes such as by name such as phase A, phase B, phase 1, phase 2 like in our construction example, or by phase example concept development, feasibility study like in the previous car example. By number example 3 phase in the project, 5 phases in the project. By duration example 1 week, 1 month, 1 quarter. By resource requirements example people, building and equipment. And by entrance or exit criteria. When it comes to entrance criteria, for example, land related documentation preparation complete, design freeze, etc. And in exit criteria, examples such as design approved, land approved from government officials. These project phases are depending on the nature of the project, management need, characteristics of the organization, industry, or technology, project elements such as technology, engineering, business, process, or legal, decision points, example, funding, project go no go, and milestone review. That's about the project phases. Let's talk about the next term, project gate. I'm sure most of you would have used project gate in your projects already. A phase gate is held at the end of phase. The project's current performance and progress are compared to the project and business document, such as business case, project charter, project management plan, and benefits management plan. Based on the performance, any of the following decision can be made. Continue to the next phase, continue to the next phase with modification, end the project, remain in the same phase, repeat the phase or elements of it. The phase gates are also called as phase review, stage gates, kill point, phase entrance, and phase exit. Let's talk about the next topic, project management process group. The project management process is common for any project. Let's see what are the process, then you will understand easily. Any project will have 5 phases. You know it. Initiation, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. Let's understand each one of them at a very, very high level. As we progress further, there will be a detailed discussion. Initiation. Initiating process is all about defining the new project or the new phase of an existing project. Planning. In the planning phase, you establish the scope of the project, refine the objectives, meaning you get the requirements from all the stakeholders, then refine from requirements to project scope and project objectives. Execution. In execution process, you carry out the planned activities to achieve the project objective. Monitoring and controlling. Once you start executing the activities, you should keep an eye on what's going on, right? You track the progress, review, regulate the progress and performance of the project. In case if things are not progressing as per the plan, then you do necessary change to bring them back on track. Closing process. Here you formally close the project or the phase, including the contract that are made with external people. If you haven't understood every detail that was discussed, don't worry. As we progress, you will understand them in detail. But for now, just remember that the project has 5 process group. They are initiation, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. And I'm sure you already know it because that's how we fill in our PMI application. You remember? Let's discuss about life cycle. Life cycle is a series of phases that is followed from project start until project completion. It's nearly the same in all projects, irrespective of the industry or organization, but they may be called by different names. Let's talk about product life cycle. To understand the product life cycle of a product, let's draw a chart by taking time in x-axis and sales in y-axis. Divide the product into 4 stages of its life cycle: introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Let's take an example to understand the life cycle better. We all use smartphones, right? Let's see what happens when a new model is introduced. Obviously, when a new model is introduced, the price will be very high. So, the cost per customer will be high. Only the customer who are ready to try out the new product will tend to buy. Huge cost for the company but less revenue. As the product becomes familiar to the customer, it takes off and enters into the growth market. At this stage, there will be increased customer, so the cost per customer will go down. Due to the increase in number of customers, the sales goes up. So as the profit. There will be new competitors in the market. The next stage is maturity, the saturation point. At this stage, the sales will be at peak. Here, the customer gets the product for the lower cost. The company earns the highest profit. There will be a stable number of competition. The last stage is decline. During this stage, the sales goes down. Cost per customer will be still low. Profit falls further. The number of competition also falls down. When you look at the product life cycle closely, you see the life cycle do not overlap with each other most of the cases. I know we are slightly deviating from the PMP topic and getting into the MBA topic, but I want you to understand the project and the product life cycle clearly so that you won't get any problem in the examination. And within every phase of the product life cycle, there can be project life cycle. Now, let's understand the product and project life cycle side by side. Now, let's see how the product and the project life cycle are linked. In a product life cycle, there could be a project life cycle. What do I mean by that? Let's take mobile phone as an example. Every time when a new model of mobile is introduced, the company launches a new project to design and develop new range of mobile. Also, during the growth phase, they launch a new marketing project to take the product to their potential customers. There will be new project during maturity and decline phases because the marketing strategy during growth and marketing strategy during maturity and decline varies quite a lot. During these projects, the project management process, such as initiation, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing, will be carried out for each individual project. So, remember, one product lifecycle can have multiple project life cycles. By the way, why do you create life cycle? It's created because it makes it easy to manage the project, to clearly distinguish between one phase to the other. This gives better control over the project. I'm sure from the previous mobile example, you could have understood and agree with the statement that there should be a life cycle for each product. Let's quickly recap what we discussed so far. We had discussion about the project management terminology such as project phase, project gate, project management process group, project management process, product lifecycle, and project lifecycle. If you're learning it for the first time, then some of the things may look confusing. I would strongly recommend you to take a pause here if it's required, revisit the discussion so far we had. Now, let's spend some time to understand what happened to the cost, risk, and the stakeholder influence in a project as the project progresses from initiation till closing. Before we get into the details, can you jot down your answers for the following questions? As the project progresses, what happens to the cost spent? Will it be constant throughout the project, or it will increase, or it will decrease? How about cost to implement a change? How about project risk? Will they go up or will they come down as the project progresses? How about stakeholders' influences? Will they go up or will they come down? Write down your answers. If you're ready, let's continue. To understand the cost spent on a project, cost to implement a change, level of risk, level of stakeholder influence as it progresses, let's draw a chart. In the x-axis, let's take project time as it progresses, and in y-axis, let's take degree of change. Let's break the project stage using simple terms. First stage, starting the project where the project charter is created. Then project preparation like organizing and planning where the project management plan is created. Then the work gets carried out. At the end of this phase, the deliverables gets accepted. The last one, project closing, where the project is closed and documents are archived. Let's see what happens to the project cost as the project progresses. During the beginning of the project, cost spent on the project will be low because you just initiated the project, or maybe still you are in the planning phase. You haven't started executing anything big. The number of staffs will be less. The number of procurements also will be less. So the expenditures also will be less. But as the project progresses, especially during the project execution where you carry out majority of the work, the cost will be high because you do a lot of procurement, a lot of staffs will be involved in the project, and towards closing the project, the cost will come down because, of course, most of the project work is completed, the deliverables are delivered to the customer. You will have less staffs in the project, and the focus will be on closing the formalities, including document archive. How about the cost for change? During the starting stage of the project, mostly there is nothing done in the project execution. So, no deliverables have been really created. You are still in the initiation and planning phase. So, changes will be mostly on paper and in planning. So, the cost for the change will be less. But once the planning is frozen, execution starts as per the plan. Deliverables started making progress. During that stage, any change introduced, especially if it's bigger change, which affects the fundamentals or base of the project scope or deliverables, then the cost will be very high. As the project moves towards the closing stage, the cost of change gets higher and higher. Let's say you started the project thinking that it's a two-bedroom house. After building to the lintel level, the client comes to you and says that he wants to change it to three-bedroom house. First of all, is it possible or not? That's a different case. But just imagine the amount of rework to be done just because of one bedroom addition. It can happen even in software. You design and build the software based on the requirement by the client. After you made a significant progress, let's say 60%, the client comes to you and tells you a fundamental change to be done in the software. You need to restart all over again. How about risk, uncertainty, and the stakeholder influence in the project? During the start of the project, there will be so many uncertain things in the project, starting from scope, suppliers, staff level, project fund, budget, probability of achieving the project deliverables, project schedule, etc. etc. So, naturally, the risk and uncertainty will be very high during the initiation stage. As the project progresses, things become clear, that is, the project scope, resource including funds, staff, etc. So, uncertainty in the project comes down. Stakeholder influence follows the same curve. During the beginning, almost all the stakeholders will get into the project with their own requirements. Once all the requirements are collected, scope is defined and the scope is frozen. The project scope defines what is included in the project and what is excluded from the project. Upon freezing the scope, the project moves to the execution stage. Since all the stakeholders' requirements are already discussed and they are either included or excluded in the project, naturally, the stakeholders' influence will be higher in the starting of the project, and as the project progresses, their influence will come down. Now it's time to understand about project, program, and portfolio. I'm sure you would have heard about the term project, program, and portfolio. In fact, some of your project might be part of a program or a portfolio. What is project, program, and portfolio? What is the link between these three? Let's understand with an example as usual. Let's say I'm an Android mobile manufacturer. I'm quite popular in the Asia region. I want to increase my organization's profit. I have a plan to do that. I have launched two ideas. The first, find customers in the new geographical location apart from Asia, such as America and Europe. I have assigned two separate project managers to manage each project. It's not only important to find the new customer, but it's also extremely important to keep the existing customer happy, right? So,
want to provide a better customer experience to my customers. To do that, I have launched two new ideas. One is to launch new series of mobile product line, and the second, keep improving the existing operating system with the new features and seamless customer experience. I have assigned as project manager for each of this. Let's go to the first initiative, finding new customers in America and Europe. They look to be quite similar projects, aren't they? I might have found new ideas, initiated new strategies to grab new customers. What worked well in one geographical location, most likely it will work in another location. Maybe I have to do a few tweaking, but the base can be the same. So I can replicate the same stuff from one geographical location to the other. Also, it makes it easy to manage them because of the similarities, right? And of course, very importantly, I can apply the lessons learned of initiatives from one location to the other. So let me put it under a group called Finding New Customers in New Geographical Location. Similarly, for better customer experience, there are two projects launched. One launching new series of mobile and the next one seamless customer experience with latest OS and features. Just like the first initiative, this new hardware and the new software are closely linked. Unless I have the updated hardware in the latest mobile, I may not be able to deliver seamless experience through software to my customer. If I look at these two projects, instead of managing them independently, if I manage them in a coordinated way, then the benefit I get are higher. Because as I said earlier, managing them in a coordinated way offer me the benefits of applying same strategy, applying lessons learned, etc. So let me group them under better customer experience. As I combine related projects together and manage them in a coordinated way, I get better benefits. With less effort, I can achieve the same result instead of manage them individually. This is called program management. Program management is managing group of related projects in a coordinated manner to gain the benefits that are not available when managed individually. Just like the project management, program management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to meet program requirements. According to PMI's research, it's found that organizations with matured program management are far more successful than those without it. All right, let's go back to our cell phone strategy. What's the whole objective of these initiatives? To increase organizations' benefit, right? How about if you combine these two programs? Of course, these two programs have no interlink because one is on the marketing and the other one is on the product development. Absolutely, there is no connection. But if you look at from the strategy perspective of the organization, they are launched to increase the organization's profit. So, from strategic perspective, these two have relationship, even though as a program they do not have. Not just these two initiatives, a serious focus can be put on the assembly line too. Of course, this is not a project, but it's an operation. This is done to ensure a good quality and consistent product can be delivered from our assembly lines. Again, this is linked to increasing the organization's profit because I am going to reduce the waste by producing quality output. Now, if I combine these two programs where there is no interlink with the operation, then it's called portfolio. A portfolio can even have operation, as I said earlier, in this case, delivering consistent quality of the existing product line. Portfolio refers to the centralized management of one or more projects or program to achieve strategic objectives. PMI research shows that portfolio management is the way to bridge the gap between strategy and implementation. OPM 3. We already discussed about project, program, and portfolio, so understanding OPM 3 will not be a big challenge at all. By the way, in OPM 3, the 3 indicates management 3 times. OPM is nothing but managing portfolio, program, and project in an organization in an integrated way. O stands for organization. In PM3,
P stands for portfolio, program, and project, and M stands for management three times. So, OPM3 is a framework in which portfolio, program, and project managements are integrated in order to achieve the strategic objectives. Portfolios should be aligned with the organization's strategy. It's done through selecting the right program and project, prioritizing them, and providing the needed resources. Program management controls the interdependencies in order to realize the specified benefits. OPM3 ensures that the organization undertakes the right project, allocates the critical resources appropriately. Project management enables achieving organizational goals and objectives. Alignment with organization's strategic business goals can be achieved through the systematic management of portfolio, program, and projects through the application of organization and project management OPM3. All right, now let's talk about PMO. Will it be nice to have a separate department that drives the project or oversees the program or enables the strategic change in an organization? That's when the PMO comes in. PMO can vary widely depending on the organization needs. What PMO should do in an organization is completely depends on what management wants. A strategic PMO enables strategic change in the organization. Some PMOs do governance, standardization that are related to projects, whereas other PMOs serve as center of excellence. Few others align project with program to corporate strategy across the enterprise. There are primarily three types of PMOs. Let's look at them. Directive. In this type of PMO, the project management office will oversee all the projects that are run within the organization. The project manager may be from PMO. The project manager reports to the project management office. The project manager is responsible for the result of the projects. This type of directive PMO has the highest level of control over the projects. Controlling. The controlling PMO offers support and guidance on how to manage projects. Train project managers in project management. Train the project managers in project management related software. Assist them with specific project management tools and ensure compliance with the organizational policies. When it comes to the level of control, they have moderate level of control over the projects. The last is supportive type PMO. This type of PMO provides policies, methods, templates, and lessons learned to other project managers within the organization. This type of PMOs has the lowest level of control over the projects. All right, let's talk about the organization structure. Of course, every organization has its own structure and governance framework. Governance framework is nothing but the authority and the hierarchy. It's very important to the project manager to understand where the power resides so that he can operate efficiently and effectively. This will ensure that the project manager uses his or her power, influence, competence, leadership, and political capabilities to successfully complete the project work. Let's look at three major types of organizations in detail. The first and foremost is functional. As the name implies, the type of organization structure is based on function. The function could be accounting, marketing, manufacturing, software development, testing, finance, etc. etc. A typical functional organization looks like this. The projects are run within the department. The project team members will be from the same department or from the same team. The project will be carried out by the project manager from the same team. As you could see in the diagram, the staff who are marked in grey color box will be working on the project and others work in the normal department work. Let's say you have software development function. All the software development happens within your department. If testing to be done, then the software package will be delivered to the testing department. The testing department receives the project, executes it, and deliver it back to the development department. In manufacturing,
The design and development carried out by the product development team. The prototype testing will be done by the prototype testing department. The information will be shared across the department since everything happens within the department in functional organization. For the examination, you can think it as silo. Here, the project coordination done at the functional manager level as represented in the diagram. So, they won't be called as project managers but as project expeditors. Since all the project management related work done at the functional manager level, the project expeditor has no authority directly with the team members. The team members continue to report to the functional manager. All the project related work done through the functional manager. In functional organization, the project expeditor is responsible for coordination and compilation of various reports. The functional manager holds the responsibility to make the project success. The next is matrix type. Within matrix type, there are three types of organization. Let's look at them one by one. First, let's talk about weak matrix. Generally, in functional organization, the project expeditor has no authority. But at times, due to the project demand, it may be required that the project expeditor need to play a little more active role in the project. He may have to develop work breakdown structure, define the activities, assign them to the team members, and get them done. In this scenario, the project expeditor does not coordinate at the functional manager level, rather, they work at the project team members level. They talk to the team members, assign the work. But even then, the team members report to the functional manager. The functional managers set the priority. Don't get confused by the word coordination and expedition. Even though by role, the project coordinator do the project coordination role, still they are called as project expeditor because of lack of authority. Just like in the functional organization, even in weak matrix, the functional manager continued to be the resource managers. In weak matrix, the power resides with the functional manager. In weak matrix organization, the project expeditor is responsible for coordination and compilation of various reports. The functional manager holds the responsibility to make the project success. The next is balanced matrix. Let's understand about it. In balanced matrix, the power is shared between functional manager and project manager. Not just the power, but also the responsibility on project success. Let's say in a project, quality management team needs to play a vital role such as setting up the standard, setting a process, and doing regular audit to ensure that it's followed in the team. There will be a functional manager, that is quality manager in this example, will be assigned for this. The project manager holds the responsibility of managing staff related to project, whereas anything related to project quality will be handled by the functional manager. The know how, that is, how to do things related to quality, will be handled by the quality manager. When to do quality related activities, such as defining activities related to quality, sequencing them, etc., are part of project manager's responsibility. Well, what if something is not going well in the project? Who takes the responsibility? The answer is straightforward. Anything related to quality, such as setting up standards, setting up processes not yielding the expected result, will be the responsibility of functional manager. If the activities supposed to be carried out by the functional team member is not going well, then the project manager needs to act. The team members of functional team still reports to the functional manager. The functional manager reports to his respective functional head. In the examination, if the question refers to matrix organization without mentioning anything, then you need to read it as its balanced matrix organization. All right, now let's talk about strong matrix. In strong matrix organization, there will be an independent project management group. So, the project manager are no longer the project expeditor or project coordinator. They are full time project managers. So, the power and responsibility for the project success resides with the project manager. The head of project managers may report to PMO or head project manager. The project manager assigns the work to the project team who may belong to a different functional group. In strong matrix, the functional manager may become a technical consultant who comes up with structure, framework, and best practices for the project. They will not influence on how things to be done in the project. The project manager takes the final call on how it should be done. Before we move to the next topic, let's quickly summarize the difference between project expeditor and project coordinator because people get often confused between these two terms. In weak matrix organizations, usually functional manager is responsible for project success. There may be project coordinator or project expeditor. First, the project expeditor. A project expeditor usually carries the responsibility of staff assistant, communication, and coordination. A project expeditor is not given any authority or very low authority to make or enforce decision. The project expeditor will communicate with various stakeholders of the project to ensure timely action and submit various types of report to management about project. The next is project coordinator. In strong matrix and projectized organization, project expeditor and project coordinator may exist along with the project manager. In large project, the project expeditor may assist the project manager on communication and logistics. The project coordinator may partially manage the project under the supervision of other project managers. A project coordinator is usually given limited authority to make decisions. For large projects, the project manager may have some project coordinators reporting to them. Let's look at the power in ascending order. First, the project expeditor with the lowest power. The next is project coordinator with moderate power. And finally, the project manager who has the ultimate power. Now, let's talk about the next type of organization that is projectized organization. Example, when a new project is initiated in finance department, then a trained project manager will be assigned to manage this project. He gets the support from the subject matter experts to run this project, maybe within the project if available. Otherwise, the team members are assigned from experts pool from various functions. If testing to be done, then the team member with the testing experience will be part of the project. Similarly, if design to be done, then design experts will be part of the project. The team member do only the project work, and when the project gets over, they don't have a department to go back, but they will be assigned to another project. If there is no project available, then they will sit on bench until a new project is assigned to them. You can imagine that all the subject matter experts will be sitting on bench. As and when they get new project, they get assigned to that. Once the project gets completed, then they go back to the bench. This is quite typical in service-based industry such as software services or engineering services. For the exam, when it's projectized organization, you can think that no home. All right. Now let's look at the advantages and disadvantages of each type of organization. First, functional organization. Let's start with the advantages of functional organization. For the management, it's easy to manage the similar specialist in one department. Team members will have a clearly defined career path of their work specialization. Team members reports to only one manager, so less confusion. Let's look at some of the disadvantages. Team members will be more focused on the functional work than the project work. Functional people have little or no career path in project management. In the project manager has little or no authority. So managing the project becomes more difficult. Let's look at some of the advantages and disadvantages of projectized organization. First, advantages. The first and foremost, efficient project management because the projects are managed by expert project managers. Project managers will have more power to make decision. Team will be loyal to the project. Let's look at some of the disadvantages. There is no home for team member once a project gets completed. So, the team member will always be nervous. There won't be any SME for the project as such. They are always assembled. Let's look at some of the advantages and disadvantages of matrix organization. First, advantages. Team members will have home, improved utilization of resources, a good support from functional area which will improve the output of the project. Now let's look at the disadvantages. In case of priority conflict between the functional manager and project manager, this could lead to complications. Having two reporting managers are always complicated to the team members. Resource allocation becomes complicated because of priority between functional and project activities. Continuous monitoring is required to manage the resources efficiently. As the project manager, you should know what type of organization you are working so that you know your authorities and limitations so that you can work efficiently. Now it's time to discuss about project management business documents. We already discussed there are two documents that comes under project business documents. One is business case and the other one is project benefits management plan. Business case and benefits management plan are the two interdependent documents. Did you listen carefully? They are not independent, but they are interdependent. These documents are developed iteratively and maintained throughout the life cycle of the project. Let's talk about business case. In business case, all the project related information should be documented. What does it mean? Earlier, we discussed that projects may get initiated for various reasons. It could be due to new technology, market demand, customer request, legal requirements, or social need. It's important to document the reason why the project was initiated. What triggered this project? What business problem the project is trying to solve? What opportunity the organization wants to grab from this project? It's important to understand what benefits the project will bring into the organization. Sometimes the benefits from the project will be so minimal where the risks are so high or it takes too much time to complete or all the key resources may get blocked if the project is selected. In those cases, the organization has to make a decision whether it is beneficial to take up the new proposed project. While discussing about opportunity or the problem to be solved, obviously the scope of the project, at least at high level, will be known. That should be documented clearly. Due to this project, there will be few or more stakeholders get affected. At least at a high level, all those stakeholders should be known and that list should be documented. We already discussed that an organization cannot take up every proposed project. If the project needs a huge initial investment which is beyond organization's capability, then it's better not to take those projects. Let's say if a small organization can invest $50,000 in a project, but if the proposed project needs an investment of $100,000, then it will be too big for the organization. It's too risky. Better to drop the project and look for some other projects. So, before taking up any project, the organization need to do economic feasibility study to ensure that the project is viable for them. There are a few things to be analyzed before taking up a project. Let's look at them one by one. Every project must be aligned to the organization strategy. This is something we are discussing from the beginning. If it's a legal complaint, of course, there is no choice. The project must be carried out. But in case if it's an opportunity and if it is not aligned to the organization strategy, then most likely the project will not get the approval. So, while analyzing the situation or the project proposal, it's absolutely mandatory to check whether it is aligned to the organization strategy or not. Once it's confirmed that the initiative is aligned with the organization strategy, then it's a good idea to find the root cause for the problem the project is about to solve. If the project is about an opportunity, then it's a good idea to find the contributors. By doing this, the project will already start moving towards finding the solution. Okay, the initiative is aligned with the organization strategy. The root cause for the problem is also found. Now it's the right time to understand the gap. Why should we identify the gap? The opportunity might bring more profit to the organization, but the organization should be able to run the project right. The gap analysis analyzes the gap between needed capability and the existing capability of the organization to run the identified project. Also, it's a good idea to list all the known risks because this could be very important input to the project charter. By the way, we will discuss about project charter in the upcoming discussion. At this point in time, just be aware that project charter is the one that authorizes the project manager to start the project and assign organization resources in the project. Okay, coming back to the risk. The known risks of the project helps to make further decision about the project. The next is critical success factor. The critical success factor talks about two things. First, when will you call the project is completed? And the second, when will you call the project is successful? Both are important and both should be documented. Just imagine what will happen when the project end is not defined. Even after the project gets completed, there may be arguments between the stakeholders on project completion status, right? If the success factors are not defined, then there will be discussion about the value that the project brought to the organization. So, both are absolutely important. The next is a decision criteria. As a part of situation analysis, it's important to identify decision criteria. What does it mean? Project delivery can be of three levels. In a project, you may deliver only the minimum that is required for the project, or in some project, you may deliver the desired as well. In some cases, the project may demand to deliver even the optional things. Let's look at them in detail. Required. Required are the absolute mandatory things to be done. These are the ones that must be there to address the problem or opportunity. Desired. Desires are like icing on the cake, having them make the solution more elegant. Optional. In this criteria, this is not essential, but fulfilling this criteria may become the differentiator between alternate course of action. All right, let's discuss about identification of set of options. Here, options means alternatives. List of options that will address the business problem or opportunity. They may be in the form of business scenario. Let's look at an example. Do nothing. This refers to continue to do what you are currently doing, business as usual. If you select to do nothing, obviously there is no need for the project and the project will not be authorized. Do minimum. This primarily focuses on the key work that addresses the problem or opportunity. The last one is do more than minimum. This option meets not only the minimum criteria but also some or all the other documented criteria. Recommendations. Here we are talking about the recommended options to pursue the project. Let's look at the details in the recommendation statement. Analysis of the potential options and results, their respective constraints, assumptions, risks, and dependencies, their success measures, and implementation approach, which includes milestone, dependencies, various roles and responsibilities. And the last one, defining evaluation criteria. Of course, this is one of the key thing. This includes how the benefits will be measured that are delivered by the project. They should include any ongoing operational aspects. Again, the business case document is the basis to measure the progress and the success of the project throughout its life cycle. This is done by comparing the objectives and identify the success criteria against the milestone achieved and the results. You need to remember one thing. The project sponsor is accountable for the development and maintenance of the business case. Project business case is an input to benefits measurement plan, which measures the project success. Also, the project charter, which authorizes the project manager, and project management plan, which consists of all the subplans. These three documents should be aligned with each other, not only with each other, but also should be maintained with the goal and objective of the organization. The project manager is responsible to ensure this. In some organizations, both the business case and benefits management plan are maintained at the program level. In those cases, the project manager should work with the program manager for the alignment. Business case is referred throughout the project. Why throughout the project? Because at every decision gate, the delivery of the project,
must be verified with the benefits that the project will deliver, obviously, right? If the project is still going to deliver the expected benefit, then obviously go will be the decision. Otherwise, yeah, you know it, no go. Now, let's talk about project benefits management plan. The purpose of this document is to describe the benefits from the project, describing who, when, and what. Typically, the document will include target benefits. Here, we are talking about the expected tangible and intangible benefits by the project. So, they will be described in target benefits. Strategic alignment. How will this project is going to benefit in line with the strategy of the organization? Time frame for realizing benefits. Here we are talking about whether the benefits are short term, long term, or is it going to be an ongoing one. Benefits owner, who will be the accountable person to monitor, record, and report the realized benefits throughout the project time frame that is established in the plan. Metrics. What kind of metrics will be used to show the benefits realized, including direct measures and indirect measures? Assumptions. What are the factors expected to be in place so that the expected benefit will be delivered? Risks. What are the anticipated risks? Data and information from business case. Of course, the benefits management plan will use the information and the data from the business case. With this, we end the basic terms part 2. Let's move on to the next one.